Good morning, everyone. Buongiorno, or good afternoon, depending on where you are. Thank you for joining us this morning for our talk about Switzerland and our bike across Switzerland trip. My name is Joe Luchison. I'm the director of Ciclismo Classico's office in the U.S., and joining me today is Dana Geraghty. She's joining us from her home in Merano, Italy. And Dana is the trip specialist for Bike Across Switzerland, and also one of our veteran guides with many accolades and a lot of beloved fans. Today we are going to get into some detail about Switzerland, and we'll be here for probably 50 to 60 minutes. And right at the end, for about 20 minutes at the end, we will take questions and answers. If you'd like to submit questions along the way, please do so in the sidebar on the right-hand side of your screen. You'll find a chat box, and you can chat a message to us. And we will be sure to answer those questions and as many as we can by at the end of the presentation. So let's dive in and talk about biking across Switzerland. The other thing I wanted to mention is this session is being recorded. So after the webinar, you'll receive a replay link to the recording, and you'll be able to listen to the audio and also see the slides. So today, you are in the right place if you are a curious traveler and you want to see places in a new way, and you want to dig deep into a country like Switzerland and get an insider's view of this one-of-a-kind trip. You will also in the right place if you want to combine your cycling with delicious food, amazing views, culture, and history, and lots of other good things that Switzerland has, like chocolate, cheese, wine, history, and so much more. And then also, if you really want to get the insider's perspective direct from a guide who helped design the trip and who will also lead this tour this year, which takes place this August. So that person is Dana Geraghty. She's here today with me virtually, and she will actually be joined by this trip by co-guide Frank Yantorno. So many of you also, if you've been with us before or know Frank and Dana or have ridden with them, this is a great opportunity to ride with them in a tour they had a lot of input in designing. This trip was actually launched as a top guide tour in 2015, which means our most seasoned and experienced guides were very involved in marketing and designing the trip. And since then, we've had many refinements and improvements in the tour to make it what it is today. And it is probably the only lake-to-lake trip in Switzerland of its kind. So Dana will be sharing us some details about that, many details. So Dana has been with us since 2000. She's led more than 130 trips this far. Very, very impressive. And when I first met Dana, I couldn't believe that she was from Colorado because she's been in Italy so long that I just thought that she was born and raised in Italy and speaks Italian like a local. Amazing. Dana, in addition to being a super cyclist and a very charismatic person, she's also a graphic designer. She studied visual arts. She's also designed many of the Ciclismo Classico cycling jerseys, one of which that you see here in the photo. And guests love Dana and they love Frank as well. Just a couple of quotes here of what people have said. Frank and Dana have made this trip absolutely fantastic. They were reliable, took care of everyone, kept everything smooth and efficient. They're the best in Italy, therefore the best in the world. So those are some pretty really nice comments and make them very much a tough act to follow for sure. So today we're going to dive in and learn about the highlights of this trip. we're going to look at some insights and behind the scenes aspects of the tour that help put it together that Dana is going to share with us. We'll get into some specifics about the rides, the elevations, the cultural encounters, the hotels, and the details of the experience overall. So I'm very excited to hear Dana's story about Switzerland. So with that, I'd like to introduce Dana Geraghty, who's going to talk a little bit about Ciclismo Classico and then get into the details of the trip. Welcome,
Hi,
Dana.
Hi, Joe. Thank you. Hi, everyone, and welcome. Wanted to just kind of talk about why Ciclismo. It's been a good almost 18 years with the company, and basically, it's kind of like a blessing. It's family and friendships, passion, spirit, adventure, exploration, and discovery. And most of the time, it's really a lot of fun. And this is you, our guests, as well as the places we go. Ciclismo Classico gives us some small freedoms, which allow us to personalize tours. And you, the fascinating guests that participate, make this service, quote, service job so much more than a product. Each tour is a unique experience and unrepeatable. And we have a video coming up, Joe, if you want to play the video of some people's feedback and comments on why they like us, I guess.
Sure, I will play that video now. The first I wanted to ask if anyone who's here with us today has been to Switzerland before, if you could just type yes in your chat box. That'll give us an idea of who's been to Switzerland. I appreciate that very much. It's on the right-hand sidebar. If you've been to Switzerland, just type yes into the chat box. And I'm going to get this video right now. If you haven't been with Ciclismo Classico, here's a little taste.
Ciclismo Classico is an American company based in Boston, and we do mostly cycling tours. The name is Italian because it was born in Tuscany.
It's a family that you get to know, friends. I've been with many of the same guides on many different trips for 11, 12-year period.
My most memorable feeling is the spirit of the group, the fabulous guides.
They take care of everything you need, and they're just part of the ride.
They know the routes, they speak the languages. It makes it a really good experience for all of us.
The experience of the trip was really the experience of the countryside, the history of the country. The biking was almost secondary to that.
I like the personal service. I also enjoy the accommodations and the food. We would never be able to choose the accommodations or the great food.
Riding in Italy with guides that are from here and are very passionate, so I've learned so much. Being able to be here with my boys and struggling every day. You know, it's better than just than sitting on the sand.
You know, never riding a bike before. Now I just absolutely love it. I'm going back to the States. I'm going to buy my first road bike. You know, I think this is going to spark a lifelong passion.
Every tour is the product of our experience, of our dreams, of our thoughts, really authentic things.
Biking really makes you feel and enjoy the local people and culture. It's more than cycling. I've heard people say when they come to Ciclismo Classico tour that it changed their life.
Okay. I got a few messages saying that the audio was not audible. You couldn't hear very well on this video, so I apologize for that. What I will do is make sure that everybody gets a link to watch this video. I will put a link to it in the chat at the end of the webinar. So Dana, why don't we talk a little bit about what we might not know about Switzerland?
Okay, so we have a few little kind of fun facts here that we put together. This slide, the CH, is basically the symbol abbreviation for Switzerland, and it stands for the Confederatio Helvetica. Basically, Helvetica being the name of the earliest peoples that settled in Switzerland, the Helvetians. This CH, Switzerland, is made up of 26 cantons, and they have 3 official languages: German, French, and Italian. Okay, and then we have this next slide is one of the lakes that we do ride near in the tour. And Switzerland has more than 1,500 lakes. It contains about 6% of Europe's freshwater stocks. And we'll be riding near some of these important lakes: the Lake of Lucerne, Brienzersee, Thunersee, and one of the largest lakes, Lake Leman, or also known as Lake Geneva. Okay, and then we have Switzerland. Basically has 208 mountains. It makes up 70% of the terrain of Switzerland. There's a numerous amount of peaks over 3,000 meters high and 24 over 4,000 meters high. On our tour, we'll be graced by the majestic beauty of many of these peaks, from Mont Pilatus, Mont Titlis, the Jungfrau, Monk, and Eiger, and the Mont Blanc Massif from the last lake we arrive at in Geneva. Oh, now, basically, Switzerland, we all love chocolate, and Switzerland is basically the nation that consumes the most chocolate per year, about 11 kilograms. They have a history of chocolate as we know it, like as chocolate bars, confectioners, chocolates, and whatnot. And we get to, on this trip, we visit a chocolatier who gives us a really wonderful history and demo and the whole process of the chocolate. Happiest country in the world. It's according to many global reports, it's been known to be one of the best places to live and be happy. And a lot of things that can make people happy is, one, personal safety. They have the highest personal safety in their country. Nature, a love of nature. They're environmentally conscious, bio-friendly, and sustainable. They have universal health care. They have the wine of Italy, the beer of Germany, and the food of France. They're a direct democracy. And then some things like money. They have a median salary, which is 75% higher than both the United Kingdom and the US. And education. Teaching is one of the highest paid occupations in the world. And they get the most vacation. That's more time for cycling. Okay, so basically this is a map of overview of our tour. It's 8 days and 7 nights. The level is intermediate, so the mileage varies between 40 to 55 miles a day. You can see there we have a total of 402 kilometers on this trip. And we basically start at one of the lakes, Lucerne, and it's at the mouths of the Reuss. We head to Interlaken, which means between the lakes, and that's because it's between 2 lakes. So you can totally see that on the trip. Then we head to the capital of Switzerland, which is Bern. And from Bern, we head towards the French area. We start, those other towns are in the German part of Switzerland, and we head towards the French part of Switzerland in Gruyere, known for its cheese and chocolate. And our last day, we ride towards Morges, which is just past Lausanne, Olympic headquarters. And we end at the other lake with this majestic views of the Lake Diablerie and Mont Blanc Massif. It's a great finish. We ride through this UNESCO vineyards there too. It's in the wow. Okay. So one of the wows is the UNESCO scenery. Scenery and beauty. Wow, it's just so scenic. There's sometimes I don't know what it's just, as you can tell from the picture, is it's amazing, just incredible. Basically makes you wonder about those very existential things like God and whatnot. At least I do. The wow number 2 was bike friendly and no pollution. Switzerland has over 12,000 kilometers of sign-posted cycling paths. That's a lot of kilometers, and that's pretty impressive. We're only doing 405 on this tour, but we pretty much follow the signposts. It's like our own system. They have superb roads, well-maintained, and unspoiled scenery. And this is really a paradise for devotees of cycling. There's no pollution. The Swiss are really big on environmental protection, and that has to do with everything. They have limited greenhouse gas pollutions. They recycle organic waste into energy, powers, gas, and whatnot. They use geothermal for sustainable energy, which is a carbon-free energy. Some cars, there's some of the first towns that we know in Europe that have, well, after the car was invented, but which are car-free. And this is really really cool. It's generally low on the world's air quality index. So basically, and just about air quality index, outdoor air pollution causes over 3 million deaths a year. And it's the biggest killer in the world at the moment, apparently, according to certain facts. So this is like low PM10 levels and whatnot are really to our benefit. Wow, 3. This here is Ricard. He's a very talented chocolatier, and he shares with us our day in Gruyere, his passion and knowledge about chocolate with demos and tastings. The area has the seat of the first mechanized chocolate production facility, which was basically founded by Francois-Louis Caillet. And there were many inventions of chocolate after that, confectioners by Philippe Suchard. And basically one of the more important ones also of the area is Rodolphe Lindt. And he basically got it world famous chocolate. People came from all over the world to Switzerland for chocolate. So the WOW 4 is, this is our last day. We ride along the northern flank of the Lac Léman, Lake Geneva. And it's in the canton of Vaud. And this is a big wine area. It's UNESCO World Heritage Site. It's predominantly Chasselas and Pinot Noirs. And the elevation is key to these, and terroir is very particular to this wine. And as we ride through it, you'll see how really labor intensive these vineyards are. There's like some of it going up 90% of a slope. We have the backdrops of Les Diableries. And basically, Havre de Talmazzi and Georgette, they have a small little winery here, and locals give us a presentation about the area and the wines and a tasting. And Georgette prepares us this lovely meal. You would almost think they're Italian. It's so friendly and family-like. So basically, now we're moving into a couple of graphs of the day 2 here we're starting off with. And first I'd like to say something about reading the graphs, and especially about the elevations in the graphs. This looks really spiky, and you could maybe like get all freaked out about it. And these graphs are made off actual like mathematical and whatnot. Then just some basic information: a 2 to 3% will make anything feel like a hill, like a climb. A 5% is a real hill. 7 to 10% is getting steep, and over 10% is definitely steep. Very few paved roads get over 15% for more than a very short distance. But mostly the difficulty is all relative to what you've conditioned for. And most anybody would say that a mile at 10%, somebody really trained and whatnot and somebody not will tell you that it's really hard. Some people can do it and some people can't. Also, we may have a good day or a bad day. For example, if you ride a same route over and over again, you'll notice that maybe some days you say, God, I don't remember this being so hard. Or maybe that same ride, you're like, God, this was so hard. I don't really remember it being like so easy. So all of these facts are really something also that you have to gain the experience. You have to have done a 2% to know what it means to do a 2%, what it feels like. But the factual grades are still subjective, no matter what. On this day here, day 2, the elevation and gain climbing is not a whole lot. It's 898 meters. It's really just the most important part here is just to pace yourself and think of your own rhythm and, and prepare for this. Overall, most of our guests get the most out of these cycling trips because they prepare for them. And each day on this tour, this is one of the, it's not the lowest elevation day by any means on the Swiss trip, but it's one of the lower ones. And basically, they get the most when they prepare for this. And they doing day 2, they prepare themselves for the next day, like day 6. Day 6 is from Bern, leaving the capital city of Switzerland to Gruyere. And it's a really beautiful day of cycling. There's lots of topographies. We leave Bern through farming lands, kind of rolling terrain. And we go into the canton of Freiburg, where we'll have lunch. We have some climbing out of Freiburg because you go down into the town by the river. And the afternoon is kind of like a roller coaster of up and downs through the pastures where many of these cows that give us the milk for the Gruyere cheese. This is the extra loop on this day, which does has some extra meters of elevation gained, and the extra loop does have a more sustained climb, not a mountain climb, but similar because it's maybe like 6 kilometers long or so. So also, just any of you who are really into biking or bike racing or whatnot, today and tomorrow, you can watch the Tour of Romandie, which is a bike race going on in Switzerland right now. And today's and tomorrow's stages are in the same area. So we'll be kind of overlapping we'll be going on some of these roads that the pro cyclists are racing on today and tomorrow too. Okay, so a few other highlights of Switzerland are the accommodations. We have in the first 2 nights we're staying in Lucerne at the Hotel de Balance, is in the heart of the old historic center, right on the river, Reuss River. It's a boutique style hotel, and basically it's just good old hotel hospitality. The Swiss, this is a kind of another fun fact. The first youth hostel, this is far, far from a youth hostel, but I'll just have to say their youth hostels are very nice too. But the first youth hostel was established to protect travelers from bandits. And it's been operating in Switzerland out in the mountainous areas for 1,200 years. So this is kind of taking hospitality to heart. The Hotel de Balance was renovated in 2008. And I really like, when I first saw this hotel, I really liked the river views. The rooms with the river views are amazing. But on the opposite side of the river is the hotel faces the historic town center. And it has these lovely paintings of angels and columns and warriors, all frescoed onto the facade of this hotel. It's pretty beautiful. Another one of our accommodations is in Gruyere. It's kind of a rustic mountain cabin style inn. It's located on the Rue des Chevaliers, which is the Knights Street. And so hence this accommodation was formerly known as the Knights Inn. And it's just right outside the 11th century medieval town. And basically it has great views of all the mountains of the area. It's very peaceful. Sometimes you can see wildlife hopping around the area or running around. And it's really quite an experience. So included on this trip is a carbon bike. You can request a hybrid, and also many people, on the last few trips we've done in Switzerland, we've also had people request an electric assisted bike. And we can get electric assisted bikes upon, basically Joe will know more about this, but based on the availability of the electric bikes. The bikes that are included are a full carbon bike, which makes them very light and responsive. The geometries of our Bianchi Intento have been designed to be comfortable, absorbing road shock and accommodating various lifts. So this is important. The gearing we use is a Shimano Altegra. Shimano having a universal user-friendly feel, and it incorporates a compact crank. The front crank which is a 50-34, and the back cassette is an 11-32, which basically provides extreme low gearing for even the toughest hills. Okay. So basically here we have an image, as we said before, 12,000 kilometers of bike routes, road sign posted routes. Basically one of the, I find, and myself as a traveler, usually on a very tight budget, have found Switzerland to be almost untouchable. And many guests have shared this with me about the value of this trip. Prices that you would think like are only, for, I'm never going to go there. It's really very expensive. Prices that you would think are for a castle, but you might get that like haystack, sleeping on hay. Frank and I were actually on the night before a trip started, $100 to sleep on hay. That was so basically, granted, most of these accommodations are clean, but sometimes they can be quirky and awkward. And we didn't stay there, maybe for the experience if we weren't going to be working our day one. But, it was just kind of those kinds of things that you like can seem out of touch to you. And so I find, and a lot of feedback I've gotten from guests is that what Ciclismo Classico offers in this trip is of an incredible value. It's the dining, the visits, the hotels. So basically, it's how can you? It's great. It's great value. You should all come.
Great. Well, thank you, Dana. Thank you so much for sharing those insights. You can hear me, correct?
Yes.
Okay, great.
Okay. So
I'm trusting everyone else can also hear. Yeah, I think the value is really an important thing to bring out because, on our trips, you sign up for a trip and you pay an all-in price, and when you get there, you really just don't have to think about much. And I think the feedback that we've seen, especially on our post-tour surveys, is that what you get on this trip for the money was really a pleasant surprise and a real wow for those people who've taken the trip already. So thank you for sharing that important point. If anybody would like a detailed itinerary, which contains the complete day-by-day details of this tour, please send me your email address or just indicate in the chat if you'd like the itinerary, and I will get that right out to you. You can just note, please send me itinerary, and I'll make sure that that I pick that up from the chat and then send that out to you via email. This trip again takes place in 2017 from August 19th through the 26th. And it's really an ideal time to be in Switzerland, which is, it's in the central part of Europe, and really the ideal time of year for biking, with warmer days and cooler nights. So please send me your request if you'd like an itinerary. We do have I do have a special offer for those of you who registered and attended today. And also we have some questions, so we want to make sure that we leave a little bit of time for those. But for those of you who are interested in the trip, we are offering a savings of $1,000 per couple through May 22nd, or that is if you're traveling solo, it would be $500 per person. And we would be happy to get you those details and speak to you more specifically about the trip. Dana is also leading other trips this year as well. She'll be leading our Amalfi Coast hiking tour in May. And then right after that, our bike tour, brand new tour this year along the Cilento coast, which is we call it Italy's Blue Coast. The Cilento area is a national park just south of the Amalfi Peninsula, so we're doing a great 6-day trip there. Followed by bike across southern Italy, which is coast to coast from the heel to the toe of Italy. And then our Sud Tirol, which is a beautiful ride along a lot of bike paths in the valleys of the Dolomites in the Tyrol region, not far from where Dana lives right now. So we have a few questions that I wanted to get to. The first was from Janet. She asked specifically about the electric assist bikes and if they were available. So Dana, thanks for addressing that. Yes, they are available, and the availability is limited. So if you're interested in those, we would need to know at the time of your reservation so we could make sure we request the one that fits you. Let's see, Steve was curious about, Steve was asking, what are the grades on day 2 and day 6? Dana, what can you share about those specifics?
Yeah. So basically, what we generally talk about with the riding is the averages over a certain amount of, because on our graphs, you know, they put every little tiny section in. But day 2, you know, we leave Lucerne. And we climb out of Lucerne, and it's basically an average of 4%. That doesn't mean it's like, and it's for about 6 kilometers. There's some sections that are definitely a lot flatter than that. There might be, you know, 20 meters where it hits something. Then we come into a town called Küsnacht, where we descend into Küsnacht. Then we climb over a kind of knoll. That part is a little bit steeper, but not very long. And then we ride along the water until lunchtime, which is pretty almost flat. We ride again flat after lunch. And it's basically getting back over those 2 hills that we did in the morning to get back to Lucerne, with a 6-kilometer descent into Lucerne on day 2. Day 6, basically we have 2 different loops, because we have the extra loop, which was the one we were talking about on the graph. The non-extra loop is 1,200 meters, and basically there's not really any super steep, long grades. I usually call it roller coaster, because we're kind of going up and down. And as I said, there could be a section of maybe like 200 meters long that might hit 10%, but it's not sustained for such a long time. And I mean, basically, on last year's trip, the couple of these sections that like hit the 10% or 11%, which are very short, some people just get off and walk the, 10 meters or 20 meters to finish the hill out, which that's kind of how short they are. So it's kind of hard to say. It's not like a long overall climb. We do end the day to get up Gruyères up on a hill, so it's 1.2K, and that climbs about 3%. Also, by day 6, some of the hills that may hit the 10% sections, people generally do really well on day 6 because they've been riding for quite a few days already.
Great, thanks, Dana. We have another question. Richard is asking, has anyone ridden a tandem? And does this trip lend itself for a tandem?
Well, basically, I think a tandem can do it. Today we were out today we have an incredible bike path system here near Meran, and I saw 3 tandems, which you don't see often on a bike path. We use bike paths and bike routes in Switzerland. There could be a couple sections, like the day we go over the pass on day 3. There is about almost a kilometer where the grade varies between a 7 and a 12%. And as I said before, last year we did it. People got off and walked. We also offer shuttles for like real difficult sections, like the van kind of we park right at the base of that really tricky part. And if anybody's not really feeling like they're up for something that difficult, as I said, it's not long, so it's not like the whole day is, and it would completely tear you apart unless that's how you're feeling. So if you're feeling that way, you just kind of take a little boost with us.
Great. I also wanted to add to that is that we have a new tandem in the fleet as well. So depending on your measurements, that might be a great tandem for you. Let's see, I have a final question here. By language, which parts of Switzerland do we ride through?
We basically go through the German-speaking region and the French-speaking region. We don't really get far enough. With Ticino is on the other side of the Alp passes, south of Lucerne.
Très bien, merci, Dana, for that. Does anyone have any other questions for Dana or me today? Thank you so much to everybody who's attended, and for your itinerary requests. I will get those out to you shortly. But we do have a few minutes for other questions, if there are any. And if there aren't any, we hope to see you in Switzerland this August. We have 4 spaces left on this trip, so I would advise that if you're interested, let's talk about it and we can lock those down for you. If anyone doesn't have any other questions, we want to thank you so much. We have a few more questions coming in. Where do you fly into? So on this trip, it's easiest to fly into Zurich, and then because the train system is so
fabulous,
and buttoned up, we fly to Zurich, and then you can just take a train right from the airport to Lucerne, and the train ride is about an hour, or maybe a little bit less. And then on the departure, we depart from Morges. So we do include in this trip another part of the great value. We provide a shuttle transfer to the Geneva train station. And if you fly out of Geneva, the airport is only 10 minutes by train, and the train pulls right into the airport. Or if you're going out of Zurich, you can take the train to Zurich, and it's only about 40 minutes from there. Dana, Stephanie is asking, how long have you been with Ciclismo Classico?
Since the year 2000.
Wow. So this will be your 18th season.
Yeah, basically fall. I started in a fall season in 2000. So in the fall season, I will have completed the 17 years or whatever it is. It's a long time.
Fantastic. Well, I think you've grown quite a following over the years as well.
Yeah.
Let's see. Richard has asked how many riders are signed up this time. At the moment, there are 6 people, but we do have very limited availability with hotels. In addition to that, we could accommodate another 4 at this time. Stephanie also is asking, are there any spas along the way?
Well, I'm trying to think of the spas, because Switzerland's also known for spa culture. Not that I know of. But, a lot of our hotels sometimes have spas, which I haven't. But basically, it requires a little more research.
We could certainly get that information to you, Stephanie. Steve, thanks for asking the question. What is the price of the trip? So the base price of the trip is $64.95 based on double occupancy per person. However, we are currently offering $500 per person or $1,000 off per couple on the remaining spots on the trip for those of you who registered and are in attendance today. Let's see, do we have any other questions? Ask now or hold your peace.
I see you, Jen.
I'm kidding. Great. Well, thanks again, everyone. I think that wraps up all the questions. Dana, unless there's any last minute information you'd like to share.
Oh, no, I just see that Janet wrote, did Dana and Frank get married?
Oh, okay.
So as Frank always says, we've been happily unmarried for over 25 years.
Isn't there a funny saying in Italian, fidanzato sempre, sposato mai, which is always engaged, never married?
Yeah, exactly.
Thanks, everybody, for your questions and for your participation and your time today. I hope, and for taking time out of your Saturday. And thanks, Dana, for joining us as well and for your efforts in putting such a great trip together and for putting together a great presentation. So we look forward to seeing some of you in Switzerland, we hope. The office will be open on Monday. If you have questions, I will get those itineraries out in the meantime to those who requested them. Our phone number is 800-866-7314. Thanks again, everyone. Have a great day. Have a great day, Dana. Thanks for joining.
Thanks.
We'll talk soon.
Shoes.
Ciao, ciao, everyone.
Au revoir. Ciao.